Was looking at those breakout rooms for convention. I thought you were going to sign up for the mom and the mom and business one. I'm just kidding. Dan goes, I'm going to Metaplexus. I'm like, yeah, yeah.
Welcome everybody. I want to go ahead and get this started. I'm so happy you guys are here. People are still jumping in the waiting room, and I know there's people who couldn't be on tonight. And I know it's been a long holiday weekend, so some people are already on vacation, on extended vacation or whatever. So I just appreciate you being here and taking the time to listen to the recording of this, and we will get the link out as soon as we're done with this call. But I think everybody on this call knows me. Stephanie Shaughnessy. I joined Plexus in 2014, and Sara Marble, our guest speaker tonight, was absolutely a diamond who I fangirled over. And I think I was thinking about this, Sara, after I reached out to you. I think I accosted you in a bathroom somewhere at Leaders Retreat or convention and asked you for a selfie with me. You guys, she's somebody I've just looked up to. She started Plexus in 2010. So there's so much she can say. She's like, what do you want me to share tonight? I'm like, just tell your story or whatever is on your heart to share. I know my team would love to hear, all of our team, so many leaders on this call. So Sara, I just want to thank you again for taking the time to jump on here and share anything you'd like with our team. We so grateful for you to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. And if it starts spinning and I completely freeze, just let me know and I'll jump over to my phone. Of course, it's storming now too, so we'll add that.
No, Corbin.
So it's all good. But thank you so much for having me. So how do you condense 13 years? 13 years of learning, training, growing, so many things that I can share. But I'll give you a super compressed version of just my story for those of you that don't know me. And then I just jotted down a few things that have been relevant through the stands of time, all 13 years, a few key points that no matter what season I've been in with my business or my family or, growing or plateau, or it seems like these few key points have just been a steady, so constant. So for those of you that don't know me, like Stephanie said, thank you so much for having me on. I joined in 2010. I was a registered nurse. I always knew I wanted to be a nurse. I think I was 8 when I told my mom I was going to be a nurse. I just wanted to help people. I never changed my mind. So I went to nursing school. It was a great thing to be able to help people. I loved my career as a nurse. Met and fell in love with a really cute ICU nurse. We were ICU nurses together and got married. And so my husband and I worked together for a while, and then he went to anesthesia school. We are blessed with 2 boys. And we were doing the nights, the weekends, the shift work, I'll do New Year's, you do Christmas, flip-flopping in the halls. And at one point we were just is this everything? We thought, this is the American dream that we always wanted. When I bought the Honda minivan, I was like, yes, we have arrived, right? But behind the scenes, I was struggling with migraines, irritable bowel. Before I was 30, I had 2 colonoscopies. My gastrointestinal doctor wanted to give me antidepressants to just deal with a diagnosis of IBS. And I just have to admit, for all of you, as a nurse, even as a nurse, I didn't know what I didn't know. 2010, 0 people were talking about gut health, right? And it was just one of those things. I was like, well, I'm working night shift, I'm living on coffee, it probably is just, par for the course or whatever. And so I accidentally stumbled on the pink drink. I will spare all of the details, but try to sample, just wanted to get into my skinny jeans. That was my number one motivation. Was I had already had 2 boys. I still had those last 10 pounds to lose. It couldn't hurt, right? Mix the pink drink, drink pink and get skinny. That was literally how I started. And I had no idea that it was network marketing. I had no idea that there was a compensation plan. The only thing I knew was I had to get it for the cheapest price so my husband wouldn't get mad at me. And that was it. So I will never forget, people started talking about this thing called convention. So it was going to be June of 2011. It was going to be the first ever Plexus convention in New Orleans, which is right across the lake from where I live. I'm right here on the North Shore in Louisiana. I was like, you know, I think I might want to go to that, like just get some more information or whatever. And I will tell you, 7 months in from the first purchase of my pink drink, I was like, well, I think I maybe want to be like this silver because that sounds important. And then when I go to convention, I'll be something. So I signed up my mom. I signed up my husband without him knowing. And then my sponsor was like, hey, I have a gal that just saw my business card. You know, I'll basically give you that lead. Like she just, after 7 months, she was just like, here you go. Like, let's get you silver. Again, I didn't know what I didn't know, but the story changes. So I walk into the first ever Plexus annual convention. There's 253 people there. It was a side ballroom. We didn't even have to rent ballrooms back then. It was like a side room. I'll never forget walking down the row. I sat on the left side, 3 rows back. The first 2 rows were saved. So I was like, I'm like in it to win it. And in that room, the very first opening session, a gal named Janet Frank stood up over on the other side of the room and shared her testimony. And it was a life-changing testimony, and it blew my mind. And I literally said, I have no idea what this is, but I am all in right now. And at that first convention, I made that decision that I was going to learn and that I was going to grow and that I was going to figure it out, and that this network marketing thing looked like it was really going to be like a legit thing. And I had 252 other people in the room that telling me we're not crazy, right? So that was like the beginning. I found out I was pregnant with surprise baby number 3. Decided, you know what? Going back to the nursing thing. Here's the thing. I don't believe that there's anything wrong if you're in corporate America, if you punch a time clock, all of those things. But at the end of the day, there are only so many minutes in a day. And if you are an hourly wage employee, there are only so many dollars that you can earn, right? I was already working nights and weekends because I wanted the night shift differential, and I wanted the weekend differential because I was trying to figure out how I could make the most amount of money for the least amount of time away from my family. So when that tension got so great with, I've got a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old, or a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old, and now I'm pregnant with this 3rd surprise baby, I started to figure out, you know what? I'm going to trade off. Here's one of the key points. Trade off the security of punching a time clock with a guaranteed income for the potential freedom and unlimited opportunity to achieve the life of my dreams based on the work that I was willing to put in it. So as a brand new silver ambassador, I put in my 2 weeks notice at the hospital. Granted, my husband and I had worked him through anesthesia school, so he's now a nurse anesthetist. So we had some wiggle room, right? But I went all in. Like, I put my chips on the table and I was like, I'm doing this, like, let's go. And so my mom was my first ambassador, and we decided to work the business together. We started Monday night meetings. They were terrible. I read off of note cards. I had no idea what I was talking about. And my first training literally was, and I wrote this on a piece of paper. I will never forget. I changed the font to hot pink, and I was so proud of myself. My first pamphlet that I handed out was drink pink, tell someone. That was it. That's what we do. We take our products, we become a product of the product. That was how my business started. Can you guys still hear me okay? I know it froze for just a second there. Are we good? We're good. Okay, good. So my mom and I set a goal. I was like, well, you know, I'm having this 3rd baby. Me and pregnancy do not do well. I gained 100 pounds. I have hyperemesis with every pregnancy. It was just not pretty. But I was like, if I could be an Emerald ambassador by my due date, then I could take like a maternity leave, right? And then maybe all of my dreams would come true. So my mom and I, Monday night meetings, telling anybody who would, you know, would listen, slinging samples, very basic. We didn't overcomplicate things. We didn't overthink things. And we ended up promoting from silver to emerald in 9 months. March 1st, I got my first emerald paycheck and delivered Hudson on March 13th. And so I will never forget. That's another tip for you guys. I had literally taken a 3x5 card, and I had written emerald equals, and I put how many points. And I had figured out for how many 100 and whatever days until when I set this goal, how many new customers or ambassadors I needed to hit the goal. And so I knew for this many days, if I had one new, now it would be VIP every single day, that I would be on track. And so if I missed a day, I'm like, okay, tomorrow we need 2 new VIPs on our team. So my mom and I ran together and we actually promoted the same month together. It was super, super fun. The backstory to that is she signed up her best friend, who is a hairdresser and a pastor's wife, who was very influential, who everybody loved and trusted. And Denise promoted to Emerald 2 months right after us. So the 3 of us basically ran hard together. And it was absolutely amazing. So I said I was going to keep it short and sweet. I promise I'm going to speed up a little bit. Once I hit Emerald, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have 500 people who all are asking me questions. And like, it was just like, momentum like crazy. We hit gold, senior ruby 4 months in a row. We were just loving life. And then I realized I have no clue what network marketing is, and I have no clue what I'm doing. And that's really when I started to research and invest in personal growth and development. And for those of you that have been around for a long time, I'm the book nerd. I'm the geek who's read so many network marketing books and leadership books. I probably can't even count them, but I realized I want to be good at this and I want to stay here and keep going. So even though it was a fast silver to emerald, from emerald to sapphire was 16 months. And I read over 50 books in that 16-month period, because I needed to learn how to win friends and influence people. I needed to know 25 ways to win with people. I needed to know the 5 love leadership. I needed to know the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Like, you name it, I just absorbed. And let me tell you, remember, now I've got a 6-year-old or 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a newborn. I'm driving around in that minivan, listening to Jim Rohn and anything I could get my hands on, for learning and figuring out what is this. Now, side note, if you are here and you're thinking, well, that's just great. Your mom joins you and you had a running buddy and it was all wonderful. My mom was my running buddy, but I was literally sleeping with the enemy, because my husband, remember that I signed up and he didn't know it. He's like, you can't do this, you won't do this, and you shouldn't do this. And I basically said, watch me, which I'm not going to recommend. That's not good marriage advice, but it was enough motivation for me to say, I am going to prove you wrong. And as we were driving across Lake Pontchartrain to Lexus of New Orleans, he looked at me and said, I guess this is going to work out, when I was going to pick up my free Lexus. And we were headed to our first trip for Hawaii. So that required a lot of personal growth and development to overcome the objections of the person I was living with, right? That was hard. I just had to be faithful and steady and constant in my goals, and realizing, if I keep doing this, I can show him that this is something worth working for. So personal growth and development was everything. When I realized there was an unlimited potential for achievements, for income, I was like, I'm all in. Like, let's figure this out. Here's what I will share with you, talking about sleeping with the enemy. Belief is huge. Like, you could do a whole thing on mindset and belief, but here's what I want you guys to know. Just pick the business, the compensation plan. You could pick anything yourself. And if you were to give yourself a grade on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I'm lousy, 0 belief, and 10 being I'm unstoppable, put a brick wall in front of me because I'm going to bust straight through it. There have been so many times where, pick a category, I'm it's like, you get a customer and you're so excited and you're way up high, and then they're like, I'm having detox, and then you come crashing down, and then it's like, oh my gosh, you're dealing with candida die-off, and sometimes that can really erode some of your belief in, well, do these products work, or should I keep going, or all of the things, right? How many of you have been there? You get that call and you have a customer who's like, I'm quitting, I'm out, whatever they didn't want to deal with. So you have these times where you have to address, is my belief 8 or higher? And when it's not, I want you guys to realize there has to be a conscious and proactive, intentional I am going to address this and I'm going to increase my belief meter, whether it's a podcast, whether it's calling your sponsor, whether it's getting on a team call, whether it's going to convention, whether it's, earning leaders retreat. What will fuel you and what will help you grow your belief so that you can keep going? Listening to diamond documentaries, you name it. You guys, 13 years in, there is not one single day that I'm not listening to somebody else's team call on YouTube, that I'm not queuing up a new podcast, because anytime I'm like, you start to feel that energy, get lower, that belief to decline in whatever area. I am late to the program and the story with Fraser Brooks, but this week on my walk, so I've been doing 75 hard with my 18-year-old. And so I have to walk for like at least 45 minutes, if not longer, outside. So I've been doing a lot of listening. If you need to increase your belief meter on network marketing as a profession and belief in yourself that you can do it, and Stephanie, I'll send you the links. The last 3 podcasts that I listened to from Fraser Brooks, I'm like on my walk, I'm like ready to knock on doors and tell people they need to join my team, with the kick in my step for what the belief meter was doing for what he was. So that fueled me. And I'm like, I want to get home and I want to get to work. Like, I want to go share with more people. I want to do more things. So knowing where you stand, and if your belief in yourself and your ability to do this is wavering, I'm going to be completely honest that you might need a counselor. You might need some therapy. You might need a good cry with your BFF. You might just need to talk to more people and get better at people skills, right? There's lots of different things. And right in that space is where I'm learning and realizing some people come to network marketing already having dealt with a lot of stuff and ready to rock and roll. Some people come to network marketing at their lowest points, right? So everybody's going to have a different pace. Everybody's going to have a different speed at which they're able to cross whatever the finish line is. But anyway, so mindset, growth and development, belief. After got all those things figured out, read 50 books. From Sapphire to Diamond was 4 months. And then from Diamond to Diamond Re-Entry, which is over 6,000 points, was 4 more months. Ready to rock and roll. So at the peak of where everything was, our family was my Diamond account. My husband was Emerald. We worked his business to Emerald. My worst skeptic turned into my biggest sharer, and he would mix his pink drink at work in the operating room lounge. And he actually built his own team of his own contacts from high school, his own people from his hometown. He would call me and say, this scrub tech, this nurse, these 3 whoever, like, I need you to tell them about it. So he actually had his own he blogged at John's Pink Drink. So he got to Emerald, and then I re-entered in my second position was Ruby. It's dropped down just a little bit. It's holding steady at senior gold points. So Diamond, Ruby, Emerald was our family at the highest point of that. Y'all, anything is possible. Currently, I'll just share with you really quick something that's been mind-blowing for me. At any given time, I've got books sitting on my desk, like, to refer to. Still learning, still growing. The Gap and the Gain has absolutely revolutionized my mindset. If you are a high achiever, if you are a red, if you are a 3 on the Enneagram, any of those things, even if you're not, I'm a yellow 2, and this still spoke to me. The tagline is the High Achiever's Guide to Happiness, Confidence, and Success. So I had realized over the last 2 years that I kept setting goals that were just like this unachievable horizon of putting myself in comparison mode, where other people have podcasts, other diamonds have, this lead capture, other diamonds have this. And like, I was just in this mindset of I'm not where I want to be, which is what is in the Gap. The Gap is a very hard, toxic, horrible place to be, where you beat yourself up no matter what goal you hit. It doesn't matter because it's never good enough. And I had gotten into that space, and I didn't realize there was a name for it. And I didn't realize that I was diagnosed with that until this month when I read The Gap in the Gain. And this really helps you to process your life in the game, because even if you're here and you're brand new and you only have one VIP, you still have taken a step. And if you measure your progress versus where you're not, like, the whole world opens up. So if I were to say, where was I 13 years ago? And am I further along now? Of course I am. we're debt free by 40. We built our dream house. We have an orphanage in India that we completely support with our team with 51 kiddos. That's been since 2014. We've had that orphanage. Like if I were to list all of the gains, it's like, how could you ever beat yourself up? But here I was the last 2 years beating myself up over unattained goals in my high achiever mindset. So the learning never stops. You know, it's all of the things, but I will like pause there. I literally could probably talk for 2 hours. So if you guys have any like specific questions or anything, I'm happy to share, but that's kind of the summary of I'm still here. We have the best company, the best products, the best everything. Get to Velocity, Las Vegas. A lot of people are like, I don't know about Las Vegas. I love convention in Las Vegas. So that MGM stage was, you know, one of my highlights of being able to train from that stage. And I know that the Coliseum is going to be amazing too.
Yes, and Sarah, I'm gonna comment a few things, you guys, and please raise your hand, jump in, unmute, because this is what she's here for. If you have any questions, comments, I love the fact that you talk about the personal growth, and I've heard you say this on other calls and in trainings. This is so imperative. The people, I feel like not only the people who do well in this, but the people who have longevity in this understand this is a growth game. This is a growth game. And, you know, we are like Plexus is a business. There are going to be changes. There are going to be ups and downs, not just in owning a company, but just in our industry and health and wellness. It's very cyclical. Sometimes we have really good months. We have lots of momentum. Sometimes we, you know, we take a dip and we're not, you know, as crazy busy. And I just want to say how important it is to be able to kind of stabilize yourself and your mindset through those valleys and through those times, because that's what being a business owner is, you guys. And I can't tell you how many people I've had that have come along over the decade I've been in it who are, it's easy when it's fun and we're in a big momentum swing. Like after January 1, we had a big spike. We had huge growth through COVID, right? Everybody and their sister wanted a probiotic and a multivitamin. Like health was on everybody's forefront. So I had people who hadn't ordered from me in 3 years that reached out to me. They're like, I think I want to do this business, you know, like so you get everything that everyone from A to Z that will step forward in seasons of momentum. But I feel like what really stands the test of time are people who are grounded in this, that are like, I'm here for each and every season, right? Like, and even there, we have seasons of momentum, seasons of attrition where people, you know, come and go. And then we have seasons of sustainability. And throughout those valleys, it's really incumbent upon us to dig deep and to remind ourselves why we're here and to do the work on ourselves so that we can continue to show up in this. Anybody want to add or comment to that? Anybody at all?
What other, sorry to cut you off, Steph, what other books do you recommend for people that are just starting out other than In the Gap? Are there any other books that you highly recommend or podcasts you highly recommend?
So I think I like to categorize things. You know, you've got your like basic network marketing, you know, 101 books. Build Your Network Marketing Business or Rock Your Network Marketing Business by Sara Robbins was like one of the top first. I read that and I was like, this is everything I didn't know I needed. Like this, like, it's just, you can get it on Amazon, Rock Your Network Marketing Business. One of the audios that you can search on YouTube is Build Your Network Marketing Business by Jim Rohn. And that's like an oldie but a goodie. And I listened to that on repeat over and over and over and over and over again. And then this one I just finished. A lot of our leaders in Plexus right now are following Keith Callahan, Built to Last. So there's, and then just the network marketing generic, like Beach Money by Jordan Adler, The 4-Year Career by Richard Brooke. There were just some really, really basic ones. And then of course, leadership. You can't go wrong with John Maxwell. 5 Levels of Leadership was a huge one for me. I will tell you, one of my tippy top favorite in general, I've offered my children, okay, I've got my boys now. My oldest is 20. My middle is 18 and just graduated. And then my youngest just turned 12. My 2 older ones, I have told them I will pay you $50 if you read The Slight Edge. The Slight Edge literally is so universal in every decision across, relationships, business, fitness, wellness, anything. You can apply it to anything. So I would say, foundationally speaking, just if you want to set goals and achieve goals, The Slight Edge was kind of the prior 2 years before this year. So like 2021 and 22, like I couldn't put that down. Like I read that over and over. I could read one sentence and just like work on that one sentence for that day. But I could go on and on and on. I probably have 50 favorite books. GoPro is a very good basic one for just their skills in network marketing. And you've got to get good at those skills. 25 Ways to Win with People is another one where like everybody just needs to read it. And when I talk to people, I'm like, if you can make eye contact and smile, like the whole world will open up to you. So that was another really good one too. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Like I said, I could go on and on and on. 15 Laws of Growth is another one of my just absolute favorite as far as applications across business and life. So yeah.
GoPro did a lot for me because I remember, I'm like you, Sarah, like I know you and your hubby were both nurses and in the medical field. My husband and I were both in law enforcement, didn't know a soul in network marketing, didn't know anything about this industry. And when I read GoPro, just the notion of the different, like how people get into this and can be at an amateur level. And then there are people that give themselves permission to be professionals in it and they go pro. And when he talked about that, I thought, oh my gosh, like I had this light bulb moment because I never called it a side gig or anything like that. I resigned from my law enforcement career because I have a very similar story to you. I saw it was working. I was getting paid. I was wanting to stay home because I had a 1.5-year-old son. And so, but just, I don't know, I guess I just hadn't given myself permission to step in and go all in and say, this is my profession. This is what I'm doing. And by the way, you guys, you can still do that even if you're still working or maybe you're not working or whatever your situation is. Just making that mental switch for me was everything. So that book did quite a bit for me. I'm glad you touched on comparison, Sarah, because I remember when I joined, there were people around me. There was one girl in particular who I believe she was in Texas. She's not in Plexus anymore, but she had a huge family. And we joined almost the same day. Somehow we got connected on Facebook and she just skyrocketed. I don't think she hit a jewel level, but I think she was Ruby like within it. It felt like to me like a week. And my mom is the third oldest of 11 kids. And I have like 58 first cousins. And the joke, the running joke has always been, I have an aunt married into one of my mom's brothers married into the family who wanted to try Plexus. No one in my family cared to try it, wanted to know about it. I have this ginormous family, all these first cousins, and none of them. And I beat myself up for that. I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, like these people are just going so fast. But you guys, we are on our own journey here. 10 years in, I have cousins and a couple of uncles who reached out to me. I think I need this probiotic. So I'll just say, like, don't compare yourselves to the people next to you who are running in this because we are all on our own journey. And I know it's easier said than done, but comparison is truly the thief of joy. So please don't go down that road. So I'm glad you mentioned that. One question, or I guess like one other thing, I just wanted to throw this out there to you, Sarah, when you started talking in the beginning about you and your mom doing events, I remember that. I remember you guys posting on Facebook, you guys would do it in like a restaurant near you, right? Can you just talk about that and the fact that you just were running on pure, like, I love these products. And because what I hear often is, I don't know enough about this, or I'm afraid who's going to come to an event. The first several Plexus events that I hosted with my sponsor, nobody showed. And it was just practice for us to tell our story to each other, or maybe the one person who would show up. So I just want to really say, when you step into like having events again, and we're there, you guys, like we're far enough out of COVID where people are wanting to get face to face again and do that. So I just wanted to touch on that, if you don't mind sharing that, Sarah.
Absolutely. So we were fortunate that my brother-in-law owned a restaurant and it was only open for breakfast and lunch. So dinner, it was closed. So it was a place that we could go to meet. We did not offer food. It was just literally a meeting room. The first few were terrible. Like the very first week was my sponsor, my mom, and one other person. And I was like terrified. I literally had notes written on a card and I hid behind my note cards and read my note cards. And we were like, okay, we're going to do this again next week. Everybody go try to find one person. Like if everybody brings one person, we'll double our meetings. And that's how we started, was please just invite one person. Well, several weeks in, I was still like, I don't know if I can do this. And I will never forget the week that I was like, this is crazy. I love these products. I am just going to share my story. And so that's what I did. I put the note cards down and I just started speaking from my heart. And that was really when I started to find my voice for, I'm drinking this pink drink. Like here's like, you will never go wrong. This is where I was. This is what I found. Here's what it's done for me. That template can work for anything. Like that literally, that can be how you prospect. That can be how you recruit. That can be how you answer questions. Like if you just say, this is where I was, this is what I found, and this is where I am now. And so that's when it really started to pick up. And so we were just telling people, bring your friend, they'll get to hear my story. When more people started to come, we did shift a little bit more to an official like agenda. So I would open up the meeting, I would welcome everybody, I would share my story. And then we would, I went to the very first convention, I heard Janet Banks stand up and give her story. And that's where it was like, it sealed the deal for me. So we started having people who were trying samples who 3 days in, oh my gosh, I feel amazing. 2 weeks in, oh my gosh, I'm losing weight. So we would start having testimonials. And then my parents, my mom and my dad was a very, very wonderful supporter, would break down the compensation plan. And when you get a retired Navy commander who gets up here and says, this is going to be my retirement plan, people listen. And so he just shared that he was able to retire. He retired from the Navy, but then he became a vice president at the shipyard, but then retired from that vice president job at 59. And so we would just share, and we would literally say, go bring a friend. And at the peak of when we were having those meetings, we would have 40 to 50 people that would come for 2 hours. We would all have laptops. We literally sign people up at the meeting. We would go in the parking lot and we would count our "you've got money" emails like in the parking lot after we locked the restaurant and left. And it was a week to week, tell a friend, invite them. And then they knew like the work is being done for you. You just invite them to the event. You're going to hear some stories. You're going to get a sample. And that's how we built for the first several years.
And Sarah, you being a nurse and your background, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, you never felt compelled to know every single ingredient in the products, like how it's because I love what you just said. This is truly me sharing my story of how this stuff has helped me. And because we always say like facts tell, but stories sell. Because I know that a lot of times I'll get people on my team who will feel like, well, I need to learn XYZ before I can tell somebody else about this. Or there's no way I could stand in front of a room full of my friends and talk about this because I don't quite know the answer to everything. And so I just want to reiterate that because of your background and your education expertise, like just tell people why you love this stuff, period. Let's not overthink it.
I'll say maybe people respected the fact that I was a nurse, but I never used that for, I'm a nurse, you should listen to me, and this is why. I was the first one to say I didn't know a thing about gut health, and was struggling so much with the migraines and the irritable bowel. And I am a huge third-party tool. If you guys don't keep a bundle of our catalogs to hand out to people, you're missing out. Like, this is the most gorgeous catalog to date. And you can send, I still send the triplex video almost every day, but this tells the story. You just have to, I always tell people we can be the messengers and not the message. You don't have to know it all. And that's very helpful for new people. They want to know that they can share the same way I do because I'm using a link or a catalog or something that they have the same access to.
Yeah, absolutely. Do anybody want to unmute and share? Noelle? Oh,
I have
sorry.
a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do we get a hold of all those samples to give out to people? Like, I just ordered like my second round, so I did receive a few samples, but that's obviously not nearly enough to what you would want to be able to hand out. So how do you get those?
So that's a very good question. I considered it an investment in my business to order like an extra 30-day bag of Slim. And now, way back when, like my first 10 people that I gave a sample to, those 10 people all became customers. I qualified them. I'm like, listen, I'm going to give this to you, but I need you to drink it and give me feedback. So I don't just like sling samples to anybody. It is always a qualified, I hate to say lead, but somebody that I know is interested. And then I will just out of my own stock. Now, if you're new, or if it's that's something that you can't, get with your budget, I would just say that that's something to really look forward to, that you would be able to use some of that extra product. And then also, y'all, I get so many free products with perks. Make sure your subscriptions are on, because that's another way that you can get sample cards with your perks, or you can just, save up and get your free bag of Slim and use that as an investment for samples, for sure. We use, like, my husband uses, he's going to hear me, all of the Joyum. The day cream and night serum is like his top favorite. He shaves his head. So like I catch him in there, he comes to bed smelling all good like Joyum. I was like, I never thought rose oil can be a good thing, y'all. Put that rose oil on your man and see how it mixes. It's good stuff. But we get all of our Joyum free, because we got my subscription, we've got John's subscription, we've got my second position subscription. So I got perks flying like crazy. I get free product every month.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said that, because I want to reiterate to you, I know we have a lot of new people on the call too. Having the subscription on every month and you guys having an order that comes through, you're getting free perk points, which is basically free product credit. So you can go in there and redeem those points and just pick out whatever products you want according to however many points you have, and they get shipped with your following month's subscription. So, and there are samples back there. We have sample cards with samples if you want to use up your perk points for samples. But I love what you said, Sarah, because I looked at that as a business investment too. I would buy an extra bag of Slim, and I qualify people as well, because everybody will take something for free. I learned that the hard way. I would make a random post in my story or on Facebook years ago, and everybody and their sister raised their hand, but I've learned to like really qualify people, and I would give them 2 or 3 and say, try this for 3 days. But I would always preface it with this, and I think this is important, just to kind of like lay the foundation of when people, because, sometimes people have weird expectations, or, they're expecting to feel a certain something or whatever sometimes. But I would always say, listen, this is to make sure that you like the taste, you're not allergic, and you can remember to take it. Oh, there's the balloons. And you can remember to take it for, 2 days or 3 days or whatever. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure that
one other thing that I will say, so I get these bags from Dollar Tree, and I also get this stuffing. I see lots of people who will do a cute little baggie like this and then put the samples in there, and then they'll say, Venmo me $15 and I will mail you your sample pack. You don't have to give them away for free. You can put a Slim, an Active, a Hydrate, and then I had some labels printed up. It just has my website, and it just says, cheers to health and happiness. So I will actually put a label on one of these clear cellophane bags, and then I put a little cute bow on it. Who wouldn't pay $15 for a few samples of that, right? I get it all. y'all, that Dollar Tree, they say it's $1, and then I'm like, that $96 later, those dollars add up. But anyway, you can just say Venmo me or whatever, and I'll drop it in the mail. So whatever, however, depending on how many flavors, I do Slim Active Hydrate. And if, you like the person, you can give them 2 flavors of each or whatever. But yes, you can sell them that way too.
Yeah. And I love that, Sarah. And you guys just be confident and just be very like, how you set up people with this is that you want to make sure that just to set expectations, right? This is something like we are a gut health company, experts in the microbiome. This is stuff that you're truly meant to be on for at least 60 to 90 days. But if you love the taste of this, let's go, sister. Like you need to try it. Like let's get you started with a combo. So I feel like just, prefacing that with, because I tell you, I gave so many samples away and didn't tell people what to expect or didn't, just whatever. And just, I've learned from my mistakes.
And make sure to follow up. That's honestly
Yes.
how I started. I had the samples, it got mixed in with my junk mail. It stayed there for 2 months. I'd clear off all the junk mail and it'd still be sitting there. And then somebody at work mentioned something about Slim. And I was like, oh my gosh, if people at work are going to start talking about this, I don't want to miss out. I ran home that very next morning after night shift, found that sample. And Amy, my sponsor, had followed up, and had she not followed up, or if I had not kept that sample, then who knows? But it was that one sample sitting on my kitchen counter under the junk mail. It sat there for 2 months before I opened it and tried it.
Yeah. That's such a great point, because people will sit on it, and in your mind, you're writing a story for yourself, like, oh, she hates it, or whatever. So, I'm sorry, Noelle. I'm looking at Dan and Noelle on your screen.
I was
Noelle,
just
did you want to share?
I just wanted to, first of all, thank Sarah, because I remember when I joined 9 years ago and I went on this little like cruise that was this setup, and I met Sarah and I heard her story about these events she would have and how she started out with no one there and she would keep showing up. And I remember that story inspiring me 9 years ago. And it's so cool that it's still inspiring people now. But what she was saying about the self-growth, I mean, anyone here who hears me speak on a regular basis knows how obsessed I am with self-growth. But the one thing I sometimes forget is what she said about reading the network marketing books and listening to that, because building your belief is the greatest thing you can do. When I started, I signed my first 50 people going, it's legal, it works. And then when everyone was detoxing back then, we didn't know about any of this. I was like, oh my God, I think I'm killing people. But I had such a big belief in what I was doing that I didn't care that I might have been killing people. So, make sure that you're listening to these things and truly believing in 3 things: yourself, network marketing, and these products in this company. And it's just a matter of time till you make it if you keep showing up, working on your mindset. But the mindset, I was a big people pleaser too, guys. You got to get rid of that. You can't care what people think. For me, I would literally cry when somebody didn't like what I was doing. So that's why I've been like so obsessive with mindset. Because now I don't care what anybody thinks. And I don't care that my whole family made fun of me for all those years, because now they're like, oh, look at your life. I'm like, yeah, I worked for this life. So thank you, Sarah.
That's right. Not everybody's going to get it. I heard somebody in this say once, they don't know what you know. And that stuck with me. So I encourage you guys just to trudge on with that. Seriously.
And also stuff that they don't know what they don't know, right? So a lot of people, when they're saying no, it's just they don't know. They don't know what these products are going to do for them or this business. They don't even realize, like when Sarah was talking about some people that punch a clock each day, they don't realize there's another way to live.
Yeah. So true. Anybody else have anything? Questions, comments? Sarah, you have anything else?
I think that's it. Well, I think I'll leave you with this. A really good practice is with that mindset. Just each night say, what was a win that I had today? Maybe somebody didn't join, but maybe I reached out and that was something that was hard for me to do, and that was a win. Or maybe you just didn't quit, right? That's a win. Or maybe you were consistent with your products. I think if you're always looking for that win and documenting it, then you can see those baby steps that you're taking that you might not even realize. Because if you get in that habit, like the whole gap and gain, like I'm not gold yet, I'm not senior gold yet, I'm not emerald yet. If you're always looking for that, you know, far off thing, if you don't find ways to celebrate those baby steps along the way, it will get so discouraging. And then I will say, posting and praying is the worst thing you can do. You have to be proactive. And you know, during COVID, everybody was at home, everybody was worried about their health. It was a lot easier, you know, to post and have people be interested. Some of us who have been around for a while, we did have a big uptick in our business, but be intentional and be proactive. Reach out. Don't assume somebody saw your post. They probably didn't. You know, anything on social media, less than 7% is actually seeing that when you post it. So make that list and say, listen, I can't stop thinking about you. I think you should do this with me. Because there might be people watching, waiting for a personal invite, and then get to events. You will never be able to say that getting to an event, you know, isn't going to be one of the best things for you, because it's going to build your belief, and you're going to be surrounded by thousands and thousands and thousands of high energy people who all, you know, have really big goals and are working to really big things. And so whether it's convention or a local meeting or, you know, earning leaders retreat, events truly are where it's at. And if you don't have somebody who is doing things for you, you go be the leader. It only takes you. Do the wellness chat, you know, do the messenger event, invite somebody to coffee, tell that person to invite 3 people. There's no reason that it can't start with you. So don't just wait for somebody to do it for you. I think that was a big thing too. Like if you just sit around and wait, it's all going to pass you by. So be intentional, be proactive, and go get what you want. Because honestly, you guys, anything is possible.
That's right. Oh my gosh, I love all that. And I'm here to tell you that when I joined Plexus, like within 6 months, I earned my first leaders retreat, and my husband came with me, and he was super skeptical. And we drove home from that leaders retreat, literally talking to each other about, we need to call everybody we know and tell them about this. We were so pumped up and so excited, and I still didn't know every, you know, absolute thing with Plexus, and couldn't tell you every ingredient and every product, but I was so excited about the possibility of what if. I knew I love these products. That wasn't a question. But going to an event like that where corporate is there and you can meet corporate people, and it just, oh my gosh, it's everything. So those of you who are coming to convention this year, I mean, you're going to come out of that a completely different person. It's where Plexus is concerned. I'm telling you. So do anything and everything you can to get there. So, yeah. Sarah, thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. I can't wait to see you in Vegas. I'm going to give you a huge hug. Thank you for pouring into our teams tonight and just sharing your story and all of your words and nuggets of wisdom. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.